Welcome back to Curious Horse. And how long have you been doing this for?
14 years.
So right now we're going from Chincoteague. How do you pronounce it?
Chincoteague.
Chincoteague. Yes. And then this goes to Assateague. And then how long does it swim for?
About 4 minutes.
Ahoy there! Everybody ready? Look, there's the Misty descendant right there. That's Riptide's main mare. And if you haven't read the Misty of Chincoteague novel, then I highly encourage you to read it. Essentially, the book is about a spirited mare called Phantom and her famous little filly called Misty that were caught by brother and sister Paul and Maureen. And after being caught and sold at the auction, Phantom and Misty would be gentled by the siblings. However, Phantom became upset after seeing her herd being released to swim back to Assateague in a subsequent year. And the siblings decided to return Phantom back to the wild. And Misty, the now domesticated filly, would stay with Paul and Maureen, as she had become domesticated. The book reflects the deep connection that the community has today with the beloved ponies, and it illustrates the purpose of this annual auction. So let's recap what's happened at the auction so far. Before the swim took off, the horses were evaluated by team of vets, and they had determined that at the corral, foal number 55 and his mother Cheyenne would be removed from the event. The foal had undergone tightened tendons that had progressed so far that it was just beyond his normal capacity to repair. And I believe that the foal and the mother are now living out at Stony Creek of Chincoteagues. There was also a 25-year-old mare that mothered many gorgeous foals, and she had earned the right to retirement. Although there is nothing like the spirit of a wild horse, I do love the idea of an aging horse at 25 now has an easier lifestyle that's being monitored, because admittedly, it is hard out there in the wild. There were also two mares named Hope and Glory that were looking very sick, and the vets determined that they both need to be treated for hypocalcemia. This can cause a horse to pass away within hours, so it's very serious. The team determined that the combination of the drought and also extremely low tides had caused the salt marsh grass to start to prematurely die off. So instead of foraging on their usual grass, the ponies would favor another type of grass. This contained more phosphorus that caused a loss of or a deficiency of calcium. And the drought situation had brought light that they just needed to feed another type of hay that was just more enriched with calcium. Some of the herd members remained on the island and did not make the swim. Many of the younger and the older horses were transported by boat. And I know in the prior video, there were many people that were concerned with just how young these foals are to be weaned. So I did do some research and I found a YouTube channel that kind of talked about the weaning process and the average age or months that a foal is typically weaned. And they kind of compare domestic horses to wild horses. But there's nothing that kind of shows a wild horse that's becoming domesticated going through the weaning process. So we kind of have to make our own opinion.
In domesticated horses, it's more like the range is about, I've seen as early as 3 months. Majority are in the 4 to 5 month range. Peak milk is at 6 weeks.
6 weeks?
6 weeks. So by 3 months, they're already not getting the majority or much even of their nutrition from the mare's milk. They're eating, which is another thing. Before you wean, I mean, this foal has to be eating forage, hay or pasture, and grain.
So from a nutritional perspective, it doesn't appear that there is a risk of the foal being weaned at 4 months, but she does mention about like emotional intelligence and does the foal have the EQ to be weaned. She's not mentioning the Chincoteague ponies specifically, but just in general. I'm not a breeder, but I do have a foal Patriot. This is my first and maybe my only foal, but I don't believe in cold turkey weaning. Although many others do, I believe in like a fence weaning approach, which is more gradual. So like here, Patriot is able to see her mother from the fence. They can touch, they can talk and communicate, but she just can't feed. And this is Patriot at 4 months, and I think I started the weaning at 6 months because she was at risk of getting too much nutrients. I got Patriot a buddy from the auction, you can see in the auction video, and the weaning process was gradual, but that's just my approach. And now, like over half a year later, Javelin and Patriot, my foal and the mare, are still so connected, and they will stay together for life. They're not getting separated. And the Chincoteague veterinarians have determined that some of these foals are far too young to go through the weaning process, and they will remain there in Chincoteague to be monitored by the vets, the community, and with their mothers. The buyers will pick the foals up in the fall. So I do think that this whole organization ran this professionally. The purpose of the auction is to raise money to preserve the herd and also maintain the numbers so it's sustainable. For example, the average cost of the foals at the auction was $30,000 for the buyback foals, the buyback. By selling 2 of the foals, this should pay for the entire herd's care through the remainder of the year. So I do think that this is responsible and it's allowing the community to have the resources to ensure that the herd is taken care of.
Is that what that is, saltwater bellies?
Yeah, because we thought pregnant.
That's what I was wondering. I thought
There's only a few that are still pregnant.
The ones they found out they were pregnant and left them.
Because she looks, I thought she's pregnant. Could I ask you about the stallions? Because is it Surfer Boy or Surfer Guy or what is?
Surfer Dude was the
statue.
father, and that and Riptide over here is his son.
So he's
kind of the king of the bunch
and he got separated because he's too.
because he got put in pony jail because he's too aggressive. He can be really sweet, but he can be a butt. Yeah, but that's his lead mare, Summer. He's a Misty descendant.
He's a Misty descendant.
Yeah, I gotta quit talking and breathing through my oxygen.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, that's okay, because I stopped breathing and
She deserves to be free. We can't keep her here for our happiness. The 3-part video that I have documented the last few days essentially reflects the fascinating novel Misty of Chincoteague, written by Margaret Henry, which I was excited to find out that many of our Curious Horse community members have Margaret as their favorite author. Margaret Henry was born on April 13th, 1902, in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. She was an acclaimed American author and best known for her engaging and vividly descriptive books about animals. Her deep passion for animals and meticulous research brought to life fascinating stories like Misty of Chincoteague, which has charmed generations of readers. She has inspired me profoundly, and I just hope that Curious Horse we can embody this as we go on to our future adventures together. In the enchanting world of Misty of Chincoteague, Margaret transports readers to the breathtaking island of Chincoteague, which is off the coast of Virginia. And this is where you'll see my videos and noticeably my drone footage, where the wild ponies roam free, and where 2 young siblings, Maureen and Paul, dream of owning a pony of their own one day. As the children set their hearts on a spirited pony named Phantom and her captivating filly named Misty, we find ourselves swept away, filled with hope, challenges, and at times in disarray, wondering, should these ponies be free? Or is this a event that is securing the future of the herd? As a community, we may not share the same opinion on these horse events, but as time goes on and we compare this auction and treatment of their animals to other auctions, I think we can truly make an informed decision and conclude on this event together. My herd in particular, Janana, Maverick, Prince, that you are all accustomed to, are domesticated. And by now, you know that I value the herd interaction, and my horses having the ability to dictate their own schedules and never being restricted to a stall, unless there are unforeseen circumstances that are just highly unlikely. And I think that my philosophy of horses is one of the reasons why I do value the essence of the horses of Chincoteague. They are cared for and ensure that their future is sustainable, being wild and free. And it is hard seeing foals being sold at auctions. You know, in all my prior videos, I don't agree with horses' foals being sold at horse auctions, but these are wild. And I do think that these foals are going to really good homes to loving families, and the older horses get to stay on the island, and in their later years, until it is determined that it's better for them to be retired, to go to a loving home where they will be pampered. I just think that the care for these horses is unquestionable, and I just wish more horses could have the same community involvement and resources backing it, you know? But I am sure that the community and the organization is committed to continuously improving, and I know some of the members have said maybe the mothers should go into the auction with the foals, and I do think that's a great suggestion, and there's always going to be room for improvement. The wild ponies of Assateague Island have been a subject of fascinations for generations, and each year these wild ponies are rounded up and swum across the channel of Chincoteague, where they are auctioned off. Paul and Maureen are the two siblings within the novel, who, just like many children at that time and today, dream of owning a pony. I found it interesting when I found out about a 501c3 non-for-profit fund called the Feather Fund, and this fund assists children in accomplishing their dreams like Paul and Maureen. The siblings dream of forming a bond with the horses, and blending the wild with the familiar. And somewhat analogous to how our community is feeling today about this auction, the siblings' determinations and hearts are tested as never before, as they do balance the wild nature of the ponies with their own hopes and dreams. Wild ponies of Assateague Island, including the elusive Phantom, are driven out of the dense forest and across the island by a team of skilled riders, the Saltwater Cowboys. The Phantom is mesmerizing, a vision of wild beauty and an untamed spirit. But it's Misty who truly captures the children's heart, a delicate golden palomino foal with a white blaze on her face, running close to her mother. And with the capture complete, Paul and Maureen are overcome with joy and pride. Phantom and Misty begin their new lives. Accustomed by the wild, Phantom is wary and defensive, which is a stark contrast to Misty's curious and trusting nature. Gradually, a bond begins to form. Misty, with her gentle disposition and playful spirit, becomes particularly attached to Paul and Maureen. The children find immense joy in her companionship, spending every available moment with her. Whether it's feeding her milk from a bottle or simply sitting with her in the pasture, the bond between the children and Misty grows stronger with each passing day. Initial days were filled with challenges, and I've been there, we've all been there, right? As their horses' wild instincts of the horses clashed with structural environment that us humans have tried to create for the horses. Phantom, with her fierce spirit and mistrust for humans, resisted any attempts of domestication, while Misty, though younger and more adaptable, still retained a sense of wildness that was difficult to tame. Paul and Maureen soon realized that taming ponies required more than just physical efforts. It required patience, compassion, and an understanding of the nature of these wild animals. They learned that forcing the ponies to conform to their expectation was not successful, and instead they needed to earn the trust and respect of Phantom and Misty. The process was slow and often frustrating, but it also taught them the valuable lessons about empathy and perseverance. Small breakthroughs like Misty allowing her to be petted or Phantom approaching them without bolting away were celebrated as significant milestones, and I can personally say I've been there. The community of the Chincoteague Island took a keen interest in Paul and Maureen's endeavor, and the community shared their own experiences with horses, and they lent a helping hand when needed. However, some were skeptical, believing that the wild ponies were best left in the wild, but many admired the children's dedication and their determination, and this support kind of boosted Paul and Maureen. And these experiences allowed them to grow as horse trainers, but also as individuals. And gradually, Phantom became less skittish, while Misty was becoming more domesticated. They developed a deeper respect for the wild ponies and the natural world, acknowledging that some aspects of nature could not be entirely tamed. And the community's involvement played a crucial role in shaping the narrative. And their reactions ranged from curiosity to heartfelt support, creating a network. Paul and Maureen found themselves facing an unexpected dilemma, whether to keep Phantom in captivity or to set Phantom free. The siblings were consumed by a whirlwind of emotions, and they grappled with the heart-wrenching decision that they had to make. They knew that keeping Phantom in captivity was against her very nature. She was born to roam free on the vast, untamed land of the Assateague island. Their love for Phantom and Misty meant that they wanted what was best for the horses, even if it was going to break their hearts. And the emotional struggle deepened as they observed Phantom in her confinement. Although she seemed to be adjusting, you could just see in her eyes the call for the wild that could not be silenced anymore. While Misty, being so young and impressionable, had begun adapting to her new life with the siblings. And soon, Paul and Maureen realized that the true essence of love for these wild horses was to honor the natural way of life, even if it meant letting Phantom go. She deserves to be free, Maureen. We can't keep her here for her own happiness. In the early morning light, they led Phantom to the edge of Assateague, their bond of love stronger than ever, but they were willing to let her go. Watching the Phantom gallop away, her mane flowing, and the glimmer of freedom reflected in her eyes, was bittersweet. Their decision to prioritize the Phantom's happiness and freedom was a testament to the depth of their compassion and the purity of their intentions. They realized that true love often means sacrifices for the betterment of ones that we care for. Paul and Maureen found peace, knowing that Phantom was where she belonged, living wild and free. Misty adapted to her new surrounding, learning the routines and becoming increasingly comfortable in the human world, while still retaining her wild spirit. Misty becomes a symbol of hope and inspiration for the entire island of the community of the Chincoteague. Her story and her presence at the penning day symbolizes the balanced harmony between nature and human custodianship. And as you've seen in Curious Horse's 3-part videos, the annual Pony Penning Day continues to be a pivotal event for the community. It becomes a natural part of the island's traditions and culture, showing the powerful relationship between human and animals. Her story spreads, inspiring kindness, compassion, and respect for the natural world. The spirit of Chincoteague becomes synonymous with Misty's spirit, free, hopeful, and fiercely resilient.